Greetings. I'm just sitting here at my tarot table today in my parlor. I'm going to do a little bit of work, and I just realized there's a subject I'd like to talk to you about concerning your tarot readings that I touch on all the time. I mention it every time I share a reading, most readings with you. I mention it in my classes from time to time, but I've never really talked about it just as a subject in all its own. And that is the subject of past. Past. Looking backward in tarot. Looking backward, what is the reason that we look backwards in tarot? It seems pretty obvious that, to most people, it would anyway seem obvious that, do we really, something that's already passed is of no consequence. It's what's past is past, right? The object of tarot and most divination is looking forward, either explaining maybe the present or looking forward, not looking past. Okay, but we usually have most tarot spreads, not most, but many tarot spreads have a past position in them. And I want to just touch on one right now, which we would say is a Celtic cross. Let's say a Celtic cross. And I lay out a Celtic cross, something like this. And then let me see if I can get it in the frame. I'm using smaller cards. Let's see if I can. Get it in the camera. I really suck at this. Okay, and then we have maybe 4 cards coming up this way. Let's do that so they show up. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we have this is basically your Celtic cross, right? 10 cards. Generally 10 cards. There's a card in the middle. This would represent the querent. I'm not going to do reversals, so I would say this is representing the subject matter or the here we have a single thought or a new idea, and here we have what's crossing it. Okay, something was crossing or something concerning it. Okay, and above, and I have, as I do, as above and so below, which would maybe, let's in this case say the conscious and the subconscious, something we know, something we don't know. And then when we go on, we have here the past. The past. And then, of course, we go on to the future, the immediate future, and then on and on, okay? Okay, this isn't a reading. I just want to explain something here. Why do we have this card here? In this case, we have the 9 of Swords. Why do we have this card in the Celtic cross? And I say the Celtic cross, generally, it very commonly, because in very many decks, in the little white book that comes in the deck, the Celtic cross is in the back of the book. It's just always, it's been traditionally given in the back of the book, pretty much with most decks, at least most typical kinds of decks. Even though this really spread seems to have fallen out of favor with a lot of tarot readers, they don't like all the cards, or I don't know what they, I don't know the exact reason for it, but they just don't seem to like it too much. I do use it quite a bit, but I have I've changed a little bit up about what the positions mean, for instance. But one thing I have never changed is this: the past. The past remains, and I think in everybody's Celtic cross adaptation, we have this past. And you have heard me. I know you've heard me say it before, either here or in my classes, that I say the reason that we care about it in this case is this card is coming up here to show us, not just making us remember something in the past, but it is showing us there's a reason. It means something, and it means something because we're holding on to something from the past we just can't seem to let go, or we learned a lesson in the past that we forget about, that we're forgetting, and we should remember this lesson that we learned. Remember when we learned that lesson? Oh yeah. Okay, here we go again, right? In this case, a 9 of Swords. I don't know. I'm not doing a reading here. I don't know. But a 9 of Swords is all about, changing the way that you look at things. Changing the way that you look at things, right? Something happened here in the past in this reading that should have changed the way that we look at things, that I look at things, that the Aquarian looks at things, whoever the reading is about. Okay? Being afraid to look, but we have to face up, something we had to face up to. What was that? That reminder of that is what this reading is about. This relates somehow to what's in the reading. Remember, when no matter how many cards are in a reading, each card is equally important. We don't just put incidental cards in here just to make it, look pretty, or just to, it's not like there's not any star players. There's not any star players, because even if we get to the final card, which might be the outcome. Oh, look, my wish came true. My wish is going to come true. The wish card, right? Okay. Even though in this reading, this might be very important, this is not going to happen without this. Each card is as important as the card next to it, the card below it, the card above it, the card behind it, in this case. Okay. We need to take all of the cards into effect. We have to We have to account for everything. Okay. So we see that all the time. We see this all the time with the Celtic Cross. Okay. Okay, what about a simple, let's talk about another spread. Okay, I've got my Shadowland Tarot out. Just give it a little quick little shuffle. Because this is something that many of us do a typical 3-card reading. Some of us do those for daily readings, whatever. And sometimes we just put random 3 cards out, but often you see somebody will put, this will be the past, this is today, this is yesterday, today, and tomorrow, let's call it. Okay, whoops. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Why do we care? Here we have the Magician yesterday, the Knight of Cups today, and tomorrow the High Priestess. Why do we care about this Magician? Why do we care? Why do we care about? Why would we say past, present, future in a simple 3-card reading? It seems like a lot of work to put into remembering something in the past when we only have 3 cards, right? We only have 3 cards. Maybe that's, do we want to bother with this one? Maybe we should call it something more important. Well, this in this case is very important, because here we're talking about a journey. We're talking about a journey. We get here we are today, and we're going to get here, but not because of this, not without this, not without this. Here's today. We're going this direction. This is tomorrow, but not without this. And I don't mean, I'm not talking literally today, tomorrow, and yesterday. It could be, but I don't think things happen that quickly. They're not going to happen that quickly, especially when we have 2 major arcana cards here. We have the Magician and the High Priestess, big major arcana cards. Today, just an everyday Knight of Cups. Just your ordinary, daily day card. These are their big guns. So we're not going to get these. It's not a sandwich, a big gun sandwich. It's a journey. So this is something about the past that brought us here where we are today, that is leading us to the future. Okay. This is a result maybe of using our tools. We see the Magician, the unlimited potential that we had. Okay. To being authentic and using the gifts that we have, being authentic and using the tools that we had, brought us to this point, which is going to lead us on a journey into an unseen, developing energies and developing our gifts that we didn't even maybe realize we had. Our intuition, developing our intuition, or something. Okay, it's a journey. We don't get anywhere until we begin. We always begin. Our journey begins somewhere. It doesn't just necessarily begin today. So we often look back to say, remember what we are building on. We're talking about going forward. We might sometimes want to know what we're rebuilding on. That's why we would put the past in this kind of a reading. Okay? Moving on. Got a lot of decks here. Good chance to get my decks out and good opportunity to get my decks out and give it a go. Here's a little deck. I haven't even used this yet. It's not going to be in order. I mean, it's going to be in order. This was a gift we got for Yule. My husband got a little deck. I got a little deck. They're cute little decks. This is the Gilded Tarot. And I know these little cards are really hard to shuffle, but they're cute. I like this because I want to put out a spread. And even though we're going to be showing, we're not going to have random cards. I don't want them to be too in order. But we might want to put out let's put out a 9 card. And often when I put out a 9 card, I have no question. I just put out 9 cards. Let me see if I can get them in space, in a place where you can see. I like the backs on these cards. These are cute. There we go. And I often I don't usually have meanings behind anything. I don't have questions. And I do a lot with 9 cards in my classes. It's very interesting. I hope I see it might be a little hard to see the images here, but because I don't know how good my lighting is, but well, I normally do not assign meanings to the positions in a 9 card reading. I generally look at the center card as maybe the focal point, and here I would see just to give me a starting place, and here I would say I have the 7 of Swords. I don't know if that's very clear. 7 of Swords. They're a little dark. And 7 of Swords for me usually has something to do with trying to. I always think of there's some kind of trickery involved or deceit involved in some case, either on myself trying to get away with something or somebody else maybe deceiving or tricking me. Then I often read it that way. He's sort of a sneaking away kind of a character in most decks. He's portrayed that way. So if we're going to involve some kind of trickery here, I might ask myself if it's that, what is the cause of that? What's going on? What is this about? And one of the ways I say, how is this about, is I could look past, present, future, past these cards, present this column, and future this column. I could do that. I could also just take these 3 cards, past, which is the 8 of Swords, the present, and the future, which is the 6 of Swords, which is interesting because this is that feeling that the 8 of Swords is that feeling of being trapped and not being able to move and feeling like helpless, really. And here, the 6 of Swords is that idea of moving on. It's time to go. It's time to take, it's time to move on to somewhere a little more easier to be. Okay. I could look on it that way. So I can look. There's a lot of ways I can read it if I want to read this thing, relationship between cards, etc. But often we put a past position in a 9 card reading for the same reason we did it in just a simple 3 card reading. But we could read this whole column sort of like we do in the kind of Lenormand, where we're talking about also involving being helpless because maybe something, here's the Ace of Pentacles, some kind of some material or security, some security issue or having to do with your people around you in your family or in your, your group of friends or whatever. And here we have the 5 of Swords. There's some kind of discord, right? There's some kind of an argument of some kind, or there's been some kind of discord and maybe a separation from people. So this is actually kind of an interesting scenario here for these swords. But do remember, this was not a very, look, I have so many swords. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of my 9 cards are swords, aren't they? So this was not a good shuffle. You see, this was not a good shuffle. Which if you want to, If you want to, this is a good example. I just got this deck out and I did this riffle shuffle. I mean, I just did this kind of a shuffle, overhand shuffle. People who just only solely shuffle that way, be cautious that you're not always getting a good reading. It takes a lot. I've linked in the past to some videos about shuffling cards. That this is really not a good way to shuffle cards. Just saying. But anyway, I want to point out that the past is very relevant in a nine card spread. Okay. Another, of course, an obvious use for the 9 cards would be something I'm going to use. I'll try my Deviant Moon here. See, I haven't used that in a while. A simple past life. Like what kind of we're talking about a complete past life reading, but what are we, depends on what kind of a spread that you deal out, what kind of a reading you're going to get. Here I have my Deviant Moon deck, which I really love. I need to make a bag for these because my box is really worn out. But I just came across there are many different past life spreads that you can get. I think I've done 1 or 2 in the past. I know I've sold a few past life readings in the past. Give these a little bit of shuffle, even though this is not a reading about my past lives. I just want to give you an example. I just came across this spread. This is new to me, which just uses 5 cards, and I'm only doing it face down. I don't normally do things face down, but I'm doing it face down right now because I want to make sure before I pull the cards over that I have I can get them in my camera. That's all. But I can set them up this way. That's fine. I like these cards for this because they're nice and narrow and they fit on my in my viewfinder. Okay, this is a past life spread that's really unique. I've never done this before. I've never done it. I might go ahead and do a reading with this later when I'm actually shuffling my cards. But it says it talks about, this is all about your past life. The whole reading, instead of one card representing the past, or 3 cards in the case of the 9 card spread I did last for you. If we have 5 cards here, they're all relevant to the past only, but they're relevant with the past, not just for curiosity, like, was I a plumber? Was I murdered? Did I have children? Those kind of things. There's a lot of past life spreads that answer some of those questions, which I find kind of, I don't know. I'm a little conflicted what I think about those. I like this spread a lot because all 5 of these cards relate to a past life, but they show how the past life affects your current life in different ways. For instance, card number 1, this says how my past life currently affects my emotions. How it affects my emotions. Okay, and here we have the 2 of Swords. Okay, the 2 of Swords here. And this card would be how my past lives currently affect my behavior. Knight of Cups. Number 3, how my past life, what past life beliefs have I unconsciously brought over into this lifetime? It's about beliefs. There's the 9 of Pentacles. Number 4, how can I cut the cords to these beliefs? How can I move on from what I was believing? And here we have the 5 of Pentacles. And finally, what is the most important lesson that I've learned from past lives? And this is interesting because it's past lives, period. And look at what card comes up. It's a 5 of Swords. About getting conceding, know when to move on, know when to give up, concede defeat, and get out of Dodge. So that's kind of interesting. I like this a lot. This is an incident where an example where we have this is an example where we have all of the cards relating to today, but in different ways. And I really like that a lot. I think I'll give it a go with this kind of a reading for myself. Okay. So we have that. Okay. Now, why did I even think about this today? What part of this even came to me today in a why was it even in my head today? Why I wanted to do this reading. What brought about this idea for the video today was I was in my bullet journal this morning because I was ready to move from January into February with a new calendar, and I noticed, I was reminded of my forecast, my tarot forecast for 2022, looking back at January. Here I have 3 cards I pulled for January. Now you cannot see that, but I'm going to show you right now what those cards were. My January 2022 forecast, when I did this reading, I pulled 3 cards. This one was the 10 of Cups from the what was this from? I want to get this right. The Crow Tarot. The Ace of Wands from the Murder of Crows Tarot, and then I pulled an Oracle card from the Urban Crow Oracle deck, which was Illusion. And this was my reading, and and usually when we do these kind of readings, if I just do it this way, then you can see all of them. Okay, then you can see all of them. There we go. That's better. Okay. I don't have a past. This doesn't represent past, present, future, anything like that. All this is energies for the month, which was forecast for the month of January for me. Okay. Now, it's not important. Now that we're going into February, I'm looking at my next one. But what I wanted to do is go back. Would you get out of there, please? I want to go back and I want to see where I'm not going back to check to see was it correct. Because that's what it was. Remember when we do tarot, we have this was possibly the energies coming. They were either present or they weren't. They either remained present throughout the month or they did not, because of free will, because of things happening. It's not a matter of, oh, did it work out the way we thought it was going to work out? In this case, it's a matter, though, of how did I feel perhaps these energies during the month of January? That's what I'm checking back. And the reason I want to say, this is the reason for my whole, really, the video today, is because so often we see people doing a year, a birthday, every birthday they'll do a forecast for their year spread, or they'll do it in January, like this one was done in January, or maybe at the New Year, which is New Year, Samhain, whatever. You see people doing these kind of things where there's meant to be future forecasts, but do we go back and look? And we shouldn't be going back just to look and see if they're correct, but to go back and learn. This is a wonderful learning tool to learn the tarot. Because if these energies were present, can we detect? And this is what I want to do. Can I detect how these energies were present for me in the month of January? January is very fresh in my mind. It's the end of January, but I had a lot of big stuff going on for me in January this year. Okay. I've shared some of those things with you in the past on my hexing or cursing video. On top of that, we just lost a cat several days ago. A beloved cat that we've had for 12 years, and very traumatic. A lot of trauma happening in our lives right now. A lot of weird things going on right now. Okay. So I was looking back and seeing how did these energies, did they play forth for me in the month of January? Now, again, this is not something I'm really looking back on to try to share any kind of a reading for me. I'm going to be making some notes in my journaling about maybe how these came out for me, but I just want to give you a little bit of example what we're looking for. I had a quote that I took from this deck, from this Urban Crow Oracle deck that I had at the top of my calendar for January that said, because it's about illusion, and it said, we see what we want to see to make sense of the story we create in our mind. In our minds. Does your interpretation match reality, or are you acting out an illusion? I find this really interesting because I did talk to you very openly about the fact that were we cursed, or did we have a hex on us, or what was going on? Were we making up something in our head to make sense what was going on for us? Um, we see here that I have the ten of cups, very happy home life, very I'm dealing here with a dog. Just a minute. We have here the Ten of Cups, this energy of a happy home and joy and things like that. But it also talks about a shadowy side of the Ten of Cups, which we're looking at, especially if I want to look at illusion. Am I seeing things correctly, or am I under a delusion? So I'm also looking, and also we're in the shadow time of the year where I do a lot of shadow work. But it warns of maybe feeling just some kind of disconnect, or not being able to spend the kind of quality time with loved ones that I might want to. Um, and it also says, it says this card can serve as a reminder to take time to reflect on the ways you can create a more harmonious life with those around you. It is asking you to remember ways that you can create this harmony that maybe you're lacking right now. So in a way, this is more past energy, right? Asking for the reflection, which is mirrored here in this card. And then I have the Ace of Wands here in the Murder of Crows tarot, which is all about um, that any kind of scratches or scars that I might have earned. They were earned. Anything that I might have are from things that I have. I've earned them. It's a result of my struggles. It's a result of So all the struggling and things done in the past, these are well earned scars. They're memories. They should serve to remember lessons that were learned in the past, so that you can move forward. They help to define our potential. Our potential is defined on what lessons we have learned in the past. All of these, interesting enough, relate to something of the past. While I look back on January, I can see those energies very clearly, very clearly. So interesting to me. Okay, so this is going to deserve a little bit of a write up in my journal for sure. And I have one last thing to show you, because the other thing that I do, I told you this was my tower year, and every month I'm pulling a tower card from a different tarot deck and looking for those energies in my life. How I might this is meant to be for this is meant to serve as a way of learning a little bit more about the tarot card, rather than just the traditional oh no, we're screwed, it's the tarot card. I don't want it to be that way. And I started out my month of January with a tarot card from the Canine Tarot. It's a little hard to see it, but it is the grim, the presence of the grim sitting on the tower, standing up on the tower, which is supposed to be the omen of destruction, or the omen of death. And this card talks about, I think I mentioned this to you before, being, if you're highly aware that you might be you might be looking for any cracks um, in the foundation that you're standing on, to maybe take some action before it's too late, before that tower falls completely. Okay, it's maybe look at the tower card as an opportunity to break free from old ways of thinking, or from things that you think are holding you back, etc. And this energies, I think, were very, I could kind of feel these kind of energies, yes, in January very much. So I'm looking forward to seeing what February holds, and I will do the same for myself in February. So anyway, I just a video. It turned out to be maybe a little longer than I intended it would be, but I think it's a really important video. I want you to, anytime that you're doing a reading, it doesn't mean that you have to put a past card in every reading. Sometimes it's not appropriate if it's not information you need, depending on what you're asking the cards. But remember, asking the cards, asking the cards the questions that you really want answered is important. But sometimes, especially if you're trying to look forward, you cannot really look forward without looking backwards to see where you have come so far, because your past card is going to define your journey. It's really setting your journey in a way. Okay. I hope this was helpful to you or not. I'd be very interested to know what you think of the subject, and thank you for taking the time to watch. As always, I'm Rebecca, and I wish you blessings.